Thank you, ma. She's there with her husband. You know what? NFP County is the largest county in Minnesota, United States. And she's one of the shotgun there. Anytime she talks, you know, I work there and she's the program manager, and I can see even my supervisors, they dread her, not because she's wicked, but she has lots, you know, wealth of knowledge up here. And, you know, if they tell you, I'm going to report you to Angie, in fact, you start shaking. Not because she's wicked, but because you don't want to soil your integrity before her. Thank you so much for coming, ma. I'm so much humbled to have brought her here. She's bigger than this all. Please, let me give her a round of applause. So I want us to go and in and out. Is there anything on our mind? Are we going through something now that is engaging our mind? So I want us to free our mind. Let's have our seats. And think about your life. Keep your eyes straight. What are you doing with your hands? Relax them. Your legs, keep them straight. What about your shoulder? Your cheek. Your head. Relax. Okay, are we relaxed? Yes.
I want to ask if any of you have questions on stress. If you don't have questions, I may be calling, especially you students, because I don't know whether you jotted points. Did you? Yes. So, if you have questions, please, on stress. Stress, like we've been told, is a normal phenomenon that we experience on a daily basis. As a living soul being, we need some degree of stress to exist in life, to pass your exams, and to wake up in the morning and get to work promptly. Students, you will bear with me that anytime you are preparing for an exam, maybe when you get to the exam hall, you discover that what you read did not even come out. What happens to you? Can somebody just please, if you want to come, just raise up your hand and stand up. Students, what happens? Has it ever happened to any one of you? Yes. No? Yes. Yes. Even when you know the questions, the answers, there is still some degree of stress to gear you up to function effectively, to be able to put down what you have in your memory. Isn't it? When we see you, I understand. When you come to Ibadan, some people will come with 2-3 different headgears. They are ready to change from one party to the other. If you have 2-3 functions, must you attend everything? We have an engagement on Friday. We also have a wake keep, Christian wake keep. Then the following day you have a wedding. The engagement of that wedding, must you attend if you want to attend the wedding? If you attend the engagement, must you attend the wedding? If you attend the wedding, must you attend the engagement? Just to show up, like my own last time, I will always say, I want to mark register. I may not spend 1 hour there because it is not compulsory that I will be there. If you are not there, the ceremony is stress. You won't sleep. You won't sleep. It causes anxiety state. And anxiety can develop into mental disorder like schizophrenia, like endogenous depression, like the simple depression. Simple depression, if not well managed, can go to endogenous depression, where we have people committing suicide. It's very common in Lagos that at the third mainland bridge, people will park car or drive and then jump into the lagoon or into the sea because they are stressed. They didn't give their brain some rest and they have a negative mindset. Mindset due to being overstressed, due to some conditions. Is it matrimonial? Is it exam? I've seen a student of 12 years old who wrote a note that he has to terminate his life because what actually happened, he will not say it now. And he hung on the ceiling that sorry, he cannot say, he will not tell anybody what actually happened. And he took his life. You know, it's a sin to take your life. Plan to manage our lives and avoid unnecessary stress and cope with life with a positive mindset in Jesus' name. I just want to talk on living a healthy lifestyle. And living a healthy lifestyle too is stress management is a major point. You want to live a healthy population of the population they won't take. You are able to, by simple doing that, you are preventing 6 killer diseases. For example, my mom had 8 of us. Only 2 lived in those days. She lost 6. Maybe she didn't take, I don't know, I didn't take, but I don't think I took immunization. But take immunization, it will prevent diseases, tuberculosis, polio, it will prevent meningitis, it will prevent some other diseases, measles, measles and its complication. It's not how well read you are. Measles can kill any child anytime. So, after those immunizations, even in utero, when you are pregnant, you need to take some immunization. Some people, they had their baby without taking the ordinary meningitis vaccines. The mother who failed to take simple vaccine in the arm, in utero. And then, when we are developing, we want to talk on our diet. Diet is very important in the process of growth and development. When a child is growing, when we are growing, we need balanced diet. We need unprocessed diet. Like the first speaker has told us that we should we should avoid all this processed food. The hours poisonous, those condiments, those little sachets, full of salt and Maggi. And these things, the Maggi, if you put it in your cloth and it will bleach your white like you have put bleach. So all these things, they are chemicals, they are poisons. I put them poisons that kill fast. So by the time you start loading this child with all that early in life, the child may end up having very dull memory. They are never active like the children that take natural food, that take balanced diet, that take vegetable, that take a lot of these unprocessed food. So we should avoid all this, bring up our children, and when our living areas should be well ventilated. There should be no crowd. We have some 6-8 people living in the same room. Where there is no cross ventilation, then spread germs, bacteria, over, and then start visiting hospitals and wasting money. Then of course, apart from the diet, we need to take a lot of exercises. Like the first speaker has said, it's not only when you run around the whole time that you exercise. It starts with deep breath. When the coordinator came just now, he engaged us in some breathing exercises and we were relaxed. When you exercise, the whole system will be put into normal functioning. The brain too will release some hormones that will make us to function well and to be in a relaxed mood. We need a lot of exercises. Some old people will say, hey, Rumi, check Monique Masai, you don't need to run around. We have been told that walking for 30 minutes will give you how many steps? A student there. We were told this morning. Yes, you. Yes? A good listener. He repeated it more than once. It means we were absent-minded. It means by the time we left our homes, we didn't plan to come and gain something here. That's not bad. Not when you are duty or you are in your business, or people will say business will be me can do. That's not exercise. When you are exercising, it should be early in the morning and before the sun comes, and it is pure exercise, not work. Are we happy to hear that? We are not happy. God has made that possible, and you, by putting it into practice, you will actualize. By taking the normal diet, like I said, like doing regular exercises every day, the normal diet, majorly organic food, fruits and vegetables, uncooked food. That will go a long way to prevent unwanted diseases like hypertension. When you take too much of fatty foods, your heart will not be able to cope. There will be cholesterol, excess of cholesterol in the system, and then the heart is getting weak. There will be hypertension. That one leads to kidney problem. That one leads to diabetes mellitus. All the organs, they work hand in hand. Ọ̀rọ̀ tó bá bá ojú Yorùbá ní ó bá inú. That's what happens in our system. So one affects the other. So we must be very, very conscious of what we do on a daily basis and what we do to our system, what we eat, and what we do to the brain, the rest. So like I said, 80% of diseases are preventable. It's only 20% that you have to battle with. And those 20%, they are also either controllable. Hypertension may not be curable, it is controllable. HIV/AIDS is preventable, we all know. Gastroenteritis is preventable. Good personal hygiene, washing of hands goes a long way to prevent many of these communicable diseases. Not that it's not a matter of boasting, I've never had typhoid, and none of my children have ever had typhoid. Because they know, before anything, you must wash your hand. You go to the toilet, you wash your hand. Before you eat, you wash your hand. Before you do any cleaning, you wash your hand. Hand washing. Some people will go out, they come in, they just grab their food and start eating. Just wash your hand and see the water that flows. You see that it's very dirty. So washing your hands will help to get rid of so many microorganisms that we cannot see that will have adverse effect in our body. And then we have talked of exercises. 4 liters. I don't think anybody have put that into practice. Some people, because they don't want to go to toilets to wee, they don't take water. Then you are endangering the kidney. We need water to flush our system. We need water to cool down the system. We need water damages in your guts or in your system. Even urine. If the urine is there, you refuse to go to toilet, you are weakening the bladder, then they are getting reabsorbed into your system, then they can go back to your kidney and infect your kidney. So we must take adequate water, and we must form the habit of visiting the toilet either to wee or to poo regularly. So that takes us to compassion gathering with HIV, with other conditions like hepatitis, like jaundice, viral hepatitis, bacterial one, through needle, through contaminated instruments. When people want to circumcise their baby, they prefer to call foodie that has little medicine or that is a wild in the next street instead of going to a standard hospital. So those things are preventable, and when you go to the hospital, immediately. I've seen many people who have cancer, is it of the breast, is it of the cervix, is it of anywhere, that were diagnosed at first stage. When they diagnose at first stage, the problem is solved. It is. I have a friend who had cancer of the breast 20 years ago. She's still unhappy because it was diagnosed at first stage. So when you see any unusual thing in your system, please learn to contact a qualified doctor, a qualified hospital. So any diagnosis will take care of the remaining 20% of ailments that combat us in our body system. Thank you very much.
Director of First Health Hospital. Please come back here. I'm going to straight away call in a scholar in criminal justice and sociology. She obtained her master's in social work and she has been working in County for 6 years. So please welcome her.
Take care of children who have been neglected. Families need some help to make sure that the kids can come back home and that they can live there safely. I want to thank you for inviting me for this presentation. It's on a very serious matter, and it's something that affects all people across the board. And so I want to start presentation now. And can anybody tell me what may be happening on these pictures?
Ojú wọn sọ nípa àwọn àwòrán tí wọ́n fẹ́ fi hàn yìí, wọ́n sọ nípa ìbálòpọ̀ àìtọ́ lórí àwọn ọmọ. Ǹjẹ́ ẹnikẹ́ni lè sọ fún wa ohun tí àwòrán tí wọ́n fi hàn wá ìlú ohun tí ó jẹ́?
What do you see in the picture?
The second
picture is somebody probably trying to coax the child into a room. And so we can go to the next slide.
Ohun tí wọ́n sọ nípa àwòrán tí wọ́n fi hàn wá ṣáájú yẹn, a rí alákọ̀ọ́kọ́ ní pé a rí pé adé ẹjẹ́ kó náwó ìrànlọ́wọ́ sùn, a sì ní pé ìkejì kò rí bẹ́ẹ̀.
Okay, in this slide, there's obviously an adult male behind this little girl. And then there's somebody holding the child's mouth. So these are all examples of things that could be occurring that we need to watch out for in our own lives when we have children.
Ohun tí wọ́n sọ nípa àwọn tí wọ́n fi hàn wá yẹn gẹ́gẹ́ bí ìbálòpọ̀ àìtọ́, a rí pé wọ́n di ìkíní, a rí pé wọ́n dì í, wọ́n fi ọwọ́ bò ó lẹ́nu, a rí pé ìkejì wọ́n fi ọwọ́ dì í mú ní ẹ̀yìn.
So the question is, what is sexual abuse? What is child sexual abuse? Child sexual abuse is a form of child abuse in which an adult or older adolescent uses a child for sexual stimulation. Victims of child abuse are both male and female. They cross from ages 0 to 18, and this could occur across any social and ethnic group. Child marriage is the most prevalent form of sexual abuse and exploitation of young girls. And incest, which is sexual abuse by a family member, can have more serious and long-term psychological trauma, especially when kids are abused by their parents. The other thing that I think we always have to remember is that children cannot consent to sexual activity. These are also images. Can somebody, the image with the child under the bed, what does Can somebody tell me what that may be? What may be occurring with that? You see the child under the bed? So with an image like that, that means the child is frightened. Somebody must be coming into the child's room, and so the child is hiding under the bed. So when we see signs like this, then we know that something's happening with our kids. If our kids are hiding in rooms, not wanting to come out, if they're afraid to talk to us, anything like that, we should be talking to our kids and trying to figure out what's going on. Next video. There are different forms of child sex abuse, which include engaging in sexual activity with the child, indecent exposure of genitals, female nipples, etc., child grooming, using a child to produce pornography, fondling, obscene phone calls and text messages, and sex trafficking. One of the things that we found is when we have families that come into child protection, someone could have come from Nigeria, they could have came from any other country, any other state, and sometimes we like to bring family members or extended family members or friends with us. I had a case as a child protection worker where the family came from Liberia. The dad came by himself and he brought about 6 children. Some were his own biological children and some were from friends that lived in the village with him. Well, when he came, he had to work, so he was working 2 or 3 jobs. And so he was leaving the children home alone. Unfortunately, when he was leaving the kids home alone, the little girl in the house was getting abused by one of the older boys. All the kids in the house knew what was occurring, but nobody wanted to tell. And we didn't find out until the little girl went to school and finally told us that she was getting exploited by this older boy in her home. And so we told the father immediately found another place for him, and the family guy helped him was reunited. But we see that pattern happens a lot when you leave kids home alone and no one's actually watching it and the child died. It was an 18-month-old girl. So I'm still trying to stress that we really have to be careful with the people that take care of our children. Can you go back for a second? Sometimes, unfortunately, things happen in churches too. We always think that that's a safe place to be for our kids, but we always have to watch and monitor. And if you see something strange and you feel something in your gut, or your child tells you something, you should always believe children. And that's what we find a lot too, that a lot of times people don't want to believe their kids, and this thing can go on and on for years. Sometimes, if your children go and visit friends, you should know who their parents are. You should go to their home and see who the moms in the house, the dads, the uncles, or whatever, because sometimes you don't know what's happening in that other friend's home. Your home may be safe, but when you send a child to another person's home, you don't know what's there. The next video. These are also images of child sex abuse. This is a little, okay, I'll ask, does anybody see, what do you see in these pictures? You want to say something? That's correct.
Why the second picture? I think that the abuse then she's crying.
Correct. So did everybody hear what should we go to the next one? So there are warning signs that we as the adults, even I found that a lot of times siblings know that their sibling is getting abused, but they don't say anything or they're afraid to tell their parents. But these are some signs. If your child who normally never acts out, is well behaved, starts acting out in inappropriate ways, and playing with toys inappropriately, and people know what I'm saying, playing with toys inappropriately, like sexually playing with toys. When your kids are having nightmares for no reason in the middle of the night, If your kids are being clingy or withdrawn, say you want to take them to your aunt's house or a friend's house, and the kids are saying, I don't want to go to auntie's house, we should ask, why don't you want to go there? When maybe you have an adolescent girl and she's becoming, well, at that time you do become a little withdrawn, but if she's secretive and she's not expressing things to you, that could be a sign. Sudden unexplained changes in their personality. If the kids seem really moody, if they appear to be depressed, they won't eat. Those are other signs. Regression. You have a child that's 2 or 3 years old and they've been potty trained, and then all of a sudden they keep wetting on themselves, or sometimes they are pooping on themselves. That can be a sign, and that's usually how we find out too as well. Fear of a particular person or certain places, and the kids continually tell you they don't want to be there. Kids that don't eat, or they start eating a lot and hoarding food and hiding food. If you're girls, if they start talking about a friend and the friend is much older, and you need to figure out what interest that that friend has in that child. Next. There are also physical warning signs. Pain, discoloration, bleeding, or discharge. When I told you the story of the baby, the 18-month-old baby, the mom saw when she changed her baby's diaper that the child had been bleeding. I can't. Can you come up?
Nothing anybody like that.
Okay. And this little boy, what do you think is happening with him?
That the little boy doesn't know what is happening, but one thing that he knows is doing the better abusing him.
So when our kids are withdrawn and they're talking to us and they're usually happy, then we know something that's going on. We should be asking them questions. And this one right here, this picture right here is, you see the man, he has a drink in his hand, and he probably is intoxicated and walking into the child's bedroom. And that happens a lot. Men getting drunk, coming in. Like we had, I had one case where the mom had a teenage daughter. The daughter was about 13 or 14 years old. And this was mom's second marriage, so this wasn't his child. And when mom was at work, because mom worked in the evening, he was sexually abusing this girl at home. He would drink, sexually abuse her, and finally she went and told an aunt. Mom didn't believe her in the beginning. Mom loved her husband and said, I think my daughter is fast, so we're using words like that, and didn't believe her. It's not until they got into therapy and the other teenagers in the house, his own kids said, we saw Dad touching her, going into the room at night, and that's when the mom believed the child. Next video. Okay, there are psychological effects when you have trauma, such as sexual abuse. And so, child sexual abuse can result in both short and long-term harm, including psychopathology later in life. So, some people who, as adults, start exhibiting mental health issues, that's what they're talking about. Maybe when they were younger, they were sexually abused and no one helped them, or people didn't believe them. And so later on, it starts coming out because it's something that needs to be addressed. So the effects include depression, anxiety, eating disorders, poor self-esteem, sleep disturbance, dissociative and anxiety disorders, post-traumatic stress disorder. While some children may exhibit regressive behavior such as bedwetting, the strongest sign of sexual abuse is sexually acting out. So what happens a lot of times is maybe an uncle sexually abused the child, and then the child, when they're 7 or 8, has a younger sibling, and then they start doing the same things to that child. That's when we find out, oh, sexual abuse has happened in that home. Victims may withdraw from school. So when you have kids that were happy and going to school and all of a sudden they decide they don't want to go to school, and you can't figure out why, or you discover that they're not going to school. We call it playing hooky from school. I don't know what you call it here. But when parents send their kids out to go to school and then they don't show up at the school. Teenage pregnancy and risky behavior may appear in adolescence. So the girls may start having a lot of sexual partners because they were sexually abused. So that's another sign. The next one. So there's physical effects. Depending on the age and the size of the child and the force used on the child. Child abuse may cause bleeding. In severe cases, there can be damage internally to a child. So the child I was talking about earlier had internal damages, and when that child didn't go to the clinic, the child passed away. So the uncle had injured the child internally. And then infections. Child abuse may cause infections and sexually transmitted diseases. And so that's how a lot of times we find out that the children have been sexually abused, because there's no reason for kids to be having sexually transmitted diseases, herpes, blisters on their face, a lot of things that children shouldn't have. Okay. So next. So treatment. When we talk about treatment, it's something that people have to deal with when they're sexually abused. So either they can have family therapy, group therapy, or individual therapy. They need to be able to talk about it, and somebody needs to explain to that child that was hurt that it's not their fault, that an adult took advantage of them. So it's determined on a case-by-case basis what will happen for the child. Like when we have teenagers, sometimes we have group therapy where they can talk to other kids and see that this has happened to other people and they don't feel so bad about themselves. So these are other images. Can someone else tell me what these images bring to them? You want to say something? What do you see? Yes. Right. So she can't cry out. Right. And what is the little boy doing? Could he be asking for help? Could he be asking his parents for help? Okay.
And the bonding issue is to share, like,
yes.
Help.
Yes. So he's showing a sign. He's telling his mom. He's telling his dad.
We have established all that. Okay, thank you.
That's the only way.